Everybody, it's Kelly. How are you today? I'm going to read you chapter 3 of Clementine by Sara Pennypacker. So all you have to do is sit back and relax and listen to chapter 3 of Clementine. Here we go. Chapter 3. I'll show you the picture first. What do you think's happening there? Looks like the whole family's at the table. I don't even want to think about the school part of Tuesday because it makes me too mad. Margaret's mother sent a note to her teacher today that said, "Watch out, my daughter isn't left alone with Clementine. I told my mom as soon as I got home." Margaret's mother is upset right now, my mom said. I guess I would be too. Then she let me stir grape jelly into my milk to make me feel better. I must have still been wearing a mad face when my dad walked in because he just took one look at me and then handed me the key to the service elevator. My dad is the manager of our whole entire apartment building. He says that means that all the people who live in the building and even the pigeons are the boss of him. But he has the keys to everything, so I think that makes him the boss. And he understands that riding the service elevator calms me down when I'm mad. Dad said, 4 times, sport, that's all. And they're painting up on 7. If the painters need the elevator, you have to get right off. So I rode up to 7 to see if the painters needed any help. You never know. And guess what I saw? 3 men painting the ceiling on stilts. Oh my gosh, I'm not even making this up. Need any help, I asked. Want me to put on some stilts too? I guess they were being polite because they said, no thanks, kiddo. We're all set here. Even though I could see that they had a lot more to do. So I rode the elevator exactly 3 more times, and then I went back home. When I opened the door, I could hear my mom still talking to my dad about that note. How do you think that made her feel? My mom said. Imagine as if our daughter is a common criminal. My dad snorted and said, well, that is insulting. There's absolutely nothing common about Clementine. And then my mom said, that's not funny to my dad. Here's the painters painting the ceiling on stilts. Yes, it is, a little, my mom said. Okay, I guess it's funny a little, but what are we gonna do? And then I quickly closed the door and went back out before I could hear the answer, in case it was, let's treat her in for an easier kid. I sat out in the lobby, waiting to get enough bravery to go up to the 5th floor and say sorry to Margaret's mother and ask her for a note that said, I do not think your daughter is a common criminal. Finally, it came. I didn't take the elevator to Margaret's apartment because I couldn't risk running into old Mrs. Jacoby. Every time I see her, she hands me a $5 bill and says, run to the store and get me a box of Cheerios, dearie, would ya? I don't like to do it because then I have to bring it to her apartment, which is on the top floor, and I have to talk to her while she counts the change and hands me 50 cents. But if she asks me, I have to say yes because A, she is 400 years old and I am polite, and B, I need the money because I'm saving up to buy a gorilla, and I bet that cost LOTS, lots of money. Anyway, I didn't have enough extra bravery to say no thanks to her, so I walked up the back stairway, 5 times 12, which equals 60, and I went to 5A and I knocked. Knock, knock, knock. Margaret's mother opened it and she stood there looking just like a magazine picture out of a mother in a magazine picture of a living room. I said hi, and a bad surprise happened. Although I had never practiced it before, my voice sounded exactly like a common criminal's. You can't play with Margaret today, Clementine. She is spending the afternoon in her room, thinking about the consequences of her actions, which is what you should be doing too. Okay, fine. She didn't actually say that last thing, but I could tell she was thinking it really hard. Here's a picture. Yep. Margaret's mother. Behind her, Margaret's brother, Mitchell, leaned out from the kitchen doorway so I could see only his head and shoulders. Then even though he is in junior high and he should know better, he grabbed his hair, pretended to yank himself back into the kitchen. And I laughed, even though I knew it was his own hand pulling him back. I don't think someone should be called the hard one if they make other people laugh. Clementine, there's nothing funny about this, said Margaret's mother. I didn't tell her what was so funny, and I didn't say any sorries, and I didn't ask for a new note in case I still had a common criminal's voice. I just ran. I ran down the hallway. This time, I did take the elevator because I was hoping I'd run into Mrs. Jacoby. So if I ran into Mrs. Jacoby, I wouldn't have to go right home. But I didn't. So I did. And when I opened the door to the apartment, I saw that our living room looked all wrong. My mother was working at her drawing table. Suddenly, I realized I had never seen a drawing table in a magazine picture of a living room. I banged the door shut hard. Margaret's mother always wears a dress. I don't know. I didn't know I was going to say this. Margaret's mother works in a bank, my mom said, still working on her drawing. It might be a role. Still, I said. I'm an artist, Clementine, and I want to be comfortable. I get paint all over my clothes. I have to wear overalls or jeans. You know that, right? Yes, I said, still. My mother put down her pencil and looked up. Clementine, do you sometimes wish that you had the kind of mother who worked in a bank and wore dresses? I nailed my mouth down so it wouldn't say yes, maybe, sometimes. And I quick looked out the window so my mother couldn't see my eyes thinking it. Then my mother got up and looked out the window too. Our apartment is at the basement level, which is halfway underground. And there's her mom. So that's her mom at her drawing table because she's an artist. So this means that our windows are right at the sidewalk height. So we always just sit there pretending to be extremely interested in all the feet passing by. But what I was really doing was trying to imagine my mother in a dress. I guess that's what she was doing too, because suddenly we both made corner eyes at each other, and then we burst out laughing and we couldn't stop. Finally, my mother wiped her eyes from all the tears from the laughter and said, "Oh, come on, it wouldn't be that funny, would it?" And I said, "Yes, it would." And then I knew it was exactly the right time to tell her my secret. When I grow up, Mom, I might be an artist too. And do you know what she said? "Oh, Clementine, you already are an artist. You may end up being something else too, whatever you want to be. But you'll always be an artist. You just are an artist." And there they are staring out the window. That's where their apartment looks right onto the street. Oh, her mom said she really is already an artist. And suddenly, our living room looked exquisite with a drawing table in it. But now my fingers itched to be drawing, so I put on my jacket and I went to the park to find something interesting to draw. My dad said I am excellent at notice interesting things. In fact, he says, if noticing interesting things were a sport, I would have a neck full of gold medals. He said that's a very good sign for my future. He says I could be a good detective, of course, but that noticing things is really good for my career, he said. My mom says that means I could be a good artist and I could be a writer too. Last year, a writer came to my school and said, "Pay attention." But she didn't mean to the teacher. She meant pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on around you so you can write about it. And then she looked exactly at me and she seemed to notice all the good stuff. And she said, notice the good stuff and write it down so you don't forget it. So even though I'm not going to be a writer, too much sitting still for me, I notice interesting things and I write them down and then I draw them too. In the park, I saw something great right away. A woman eating lentils from a thermos with a toothbrush, even though she had a fork right there, which she was using to eat her salad. So I asked the lady if I could draw a picture of the lentils on her toothbrush, and she said, sure, and I did. So here it is. She's noticing interesting things around her, right? As soon as I got home, I wrote it all down and asked my mom if we could have lentils for dinner. You hate lentils, Clementine, my mom said. Well, I think I've been eating them wrong, I said. So we had lentils and I ate them the new way. And guess what? It worked. The lentils stuck on the bristles and it didn't slide off my fork. So I got lots and lots of lentils in my mouth, which was a bad thing because I do hate lentils. All right, that was chapter 3. That was chapter 3. All right, I will read you chapter 4 soon. So have a great day wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.